Your lesson for today is solving two-step equations. For this lesson, your learning target is to be able to write and solve two-step equations. Your success criteria is I can apply properties of equality to produce equivalent equations. I can solve two-step equations using the basic operations, and I can apply two-step equations to solve real-life problems. So for your first example, to solve a two-step equation, it's very similar to solving one-step equations. Just basically fall back on all of your skills that you've already learned from that, and we're going to just do the opposite. So we're going to take away 5 from both sides, and 5 minus 5 is 0, so we're left with negative 3x, and 2 minus 5 is negative 3. Now you just have a one-step equation, so you're just going to do the opposite again. Negative 3x means negative 3 times x, so you're going to divide by negative 3 on both sides. That divides and is just equal to 1, so you're left with x, and negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. Here's another example to just watch. Remember, we want to get the variable by itself. So we're going to try to get rid of everything else first. And the easiest thing to do is to get rid of the stuff that's furthest away. So we'll take care of that 4, get rid of 4 by subtracting. 4 minus 4 is nothing, so we're left with 4n. 12 minus 4 is 8. Divide both sides by 4, and you're left with n equals 2. For the third example, we'll get rid of what's furthest. Okay, so we'll get rid of the 5. And you have 4p, which is what's left, and 3 minus 5 is negative 2. So then we'll divide both sides by 4. 4 over 4 is 1, so you have your 1p. And then negative 2 divided by 4 is negative a half. Now you try it, solve the equations, and once you've completed the 3, please press play and I'll walk through them. For number 1, we're going to take away 12 from both sides, and we're left with 2x equals negative 8. Now we'll divide both sides by 2, and x equals negative 4. For number 2, we'll take away 9 from both sides. Negative 5c equals negative 25. And then divide both sides by negative 5. And for number 3, we'll add 12 to both sides. 3x equals 21. Divide both sides by 3, and we end up with x equals 7. Now we step it up a little bit, just in the sense that we are dealing with rational numbers, with fractions. But we're still going to draw our line in and find our variable. Now for this one, we're going to add a half, and we're going to add a half to the other side. Minus 1/2 and plus 1/2 cancels, leaving us with x over 8. Negative 7/2 plus a half is going to equal negative 6/2. And now we'll multiply both sides by 8. 8 over 8 is 1, so we're just left with our x. As a fraction, 8 is 8 over 1. 6 times 8 is 48, so we end up with negative 48 over 2, which is negative 24. Here we're going to add 1 to both sides. Minus 1 and positive 1 cancel, so we're left with negative d over 5 equals negative 5. Now we'll multiply by 5 on both sides. 5 over 5 is 1, so you're just left with negative d equals negative 25. This one involves the decimals, but we still identify our variable here, and we're going to take away 8.5 from both sides. 8.5 minus 8.5 is nothing, so it's just 3.6g. And then when we subtract, bring our decimal point down, we get 13.1. Now we'll divide both sides by 3.6. 3.6 divided by 3.6 is just g. And then we have 13.1 divided by 3.6. So we'll have to do long division. 13.1 divided by 3.6. When we move the decimal point, we end up with 131 divided by 36. And then annex in some zeros and bring your decimals straight up. So 36 doesn't go into 1. It doesn't go into 13. It goes into 131 3 times. 36 times 3, that's 18, so that's 108. So now we'll have to do some borrowing and subtracting and bring down. We end up with 230. 36 goes into 230 6 times. 36 times 6, we know that's going to be 216. And we already know that 36 will go into 140 3 times. 3 times 36, we just did that already. That's 108. We get 32. Bring down another 0. And we can actually just stop right there. 3.62. If you did continue, you would get an 8 and it would repeat. So G equals 3.638 repeating. Now you try it for 4 through 6. Solve the equation. Take away 6 from both sides. M over 2 equals 4. And then multiply both sides by 2. So you get M equals 8. Take away 5 from both sides. Negative Z over 3 equals 4. Times both sides by 3. You get negative Z equals 12. And now in this situation, you need to divide by negative 1. Negative Z divided by negative 1 is just Z equals negative 12. So here we're going to take away 2/5 from both sides. We get 4a. Negative 6/5 minus 2/5 is negative 8/5. Now we'll divide this side by 4 so we can get a. And we'll have to divide this side by 4, which is going to be 4 over 1. So we have negative 8/5. We're going to keep that, and then we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. We can cross simplify. So we get negative 2/5. Now on to example 3, combine like terms before solving. So in this situation, we're going to take our like terms, and here we have 3y and negative 8y. So those will combine to negative 5y. And now this actually is just a one step where we divide by negative 5 on both sides. And we get y equals 25 divided by 5, which is 5, and a positive divided by a negative is a negative. In this next example, we still have like terms on the right side. 1/4 w minus a half w. So we need to get common denominators, which will be a fourth. So we'll have 1/4 w minus 2/4 w. When we combine those, 1/4 minus 2/4 is negative 1/4 w, and that equals negative 6. And now we'll multiply by the inverse, or the reciprocal, so we'll times that by 4 over negative 1, allowing the 4's and the negative 1's to cancel. So we've isolated our variable. And now we'll multiply the other side by 4 over negative 1. Negative 6 is negative 6 over 1. So 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. And negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. So we get w equals positive 24. Now it's your turn to try it for 7, 8, and 9. Then once you've completed these, please press play, and I'll walk you through the answers. For question number 7, we'll combine like terms first. So we have a 4 and a 3. So that's going to be negative 2y plus 7 equals negative 9. We'll take away 7 from both sides. 7 minus 7 cancels, leaving us with negative 2y, and that equals negative 16. 2 times y tells us that we'll need to divide by the negative 2. Negative 2 over negative 2 is 1, so that now just leaves us with y. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. Number 8. We have 7x minus 10x, so that's negative 3x equals 15. We'll divide by negative 3 on both sides, leaving us with x equals negative 5. And for 9, on the right-hand side, we'll combine like terms. 1.3m minus 2.1m, that is negative 0.8m. Equals negative 8. So we'll divide by negative 0.8 on both sides. Negative 0.8 divided by negative 0.8 is 1, so that just leaves us with m. And we know that negative 8 divided by negative 8 would be 1, so negative 8 divided by negative 0.8 would be 10, so m equals 10. In our fourth example, we're modeling real life. You install 500 feet of invisible fencing along the perimeter of a rectangular yard. The width of the yard is 100 feet. What is the length? So let's start by drawing this so we can have a visualization. So we know that we have 500 feet of fence. We know it's a rectangular yard. And the width is 100 feet. All right, so we have 100 feet, and then we know this has to be 100 feet. We know that perimeter is 2L plus 2W. And if we know that our width is 100, we'd have P equals 2L plus 2 times W, which is 100. We know that P is 500. We don't know the length. 2 times 100 is 200. So now we can solve for L. We'll take away 200 from both sides. 200 minus 200 is nothing, so that leaves us with 2L equals 300. And now we'll divide both sides by 2. 2 over 2 is 1, and 300 divided by 2 is 150. So we have 150 feet and 150 feet by 100 feet. In question 18, you must scuba dive to the entrance of your room at Julien's Undersea Lodge in Key Largo, Florida. The diver is 1 foot deeper than 2/3 of the elevation of the entrance. What is the elevation of the entrance? So here's what we know. The diver is 1 foot deeper than 2/3 the elevation of the entrance. And the elevation of the entrance, as we can see in the picture here, is -15. So we'll say -15 is equal to 2/3 the elevation of the entrance. And we know that the diver is 1 foot deeper, so we'll say -1. So now we'll solve for E, so we'll add 1 to both sides. -1 and +1 leave us canceling those out, so we have 2/3 E, and -15 plus 1 is -14. So now to solve for E, we'll multiply by the reciprocal. That will allow us to cancel those out. Multiply the other side by the reciprocal. We can cross simplify. And then 3 times -7 is -21 over 1. So E is -21 feet. Now for the last question, dig deeper. A car drives east along a road at a constant speed of 46 miles per hour. At 4 p.m., a truck is 264 miles away, driving west along the same road at a constant speed. The vehicles pass each other at 7. So let's draw a picture. East and west. A car is driving east along a road, so the car is driving east at 46 miles per hour. And it's 4 o'clock. A truck is 264 miles away, driving west. So here's our truck, and our truck is driving west, and from our car to our truck is 264 miles. The vehicles pass each other at 7 o'clock. Okay, so 4 o'clock is here, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. So we know that that is a total of 3 hours. Okay, so that's what we know. What is the speed of the truck? So we can set up an equation here. The equation will look like this. 264, that's the total distance between the car and the truck. We know that the car is going to travel 3 hours. So 3 hours times 46 miles per hour. The truck also has to travel 3 hours, but we don't know the speed. So now we have an equation set up that we can solve. 3 times 46 is going to be 138 plus 3t equals 264. So I'm going to take away 138 from both sides. And I'm left with 3t equals 126. So now I divide both sides by 3. 3 over 3 is 1. And I need to do 126 divided by 3. 3 doesn't go into 1, but it goes into 12 4 times. 3 goes into 6 twice. So I get t equals 42, which is the speed of my truck. So we would say the truck is going 42 miles per hour.